$15,000. That is the value of a walrus lying motionless on the Arctic ice. That is enough to feed an entire settlement where the sun disappears for 40 days and the temperature drops to minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit. But to obtain that blood-red treasure, the Inuit and Chukchi must enter the most dangerous hunt on Earth, where a slip, a crack in the ice, or a charge from a beast weighing 1 ton can end it all in an instant. In their language, the word walrus means a gift of the ocean. Meat for food, fat for light, skin for crafts, tusks for trade. For Arctic families, hunting walrus is not just a job, it is survival, a ritual that has kept them alive for thousands of years. But to the rest of the world, scenes where tons of meat are butchered right on the ice look like a cruel crime against nature. Environmentalists are sounding the alarm as walruses begin to vanish. Their icy home is melting, and their numbers are shrinking due to climate change and relentless hunting. So, where does the truth lie? Do walruses remain a sacred source of life? Or have they become mere victims of greed and the black market for ivory? Butchering a $15,000 walrus on Arctic ice is a deadly endeavor. It is a dangerous hunt that feeds an entire settlement at the very edge of the Arctic. Fragile wooden boats cut through the frozen sea. The wind howls as waves crash with a roar, and the ice groans and cracks underfoot. Ahead, out of the fog, rises the massive shadow of an adult walrus, a living mountain of muscle and tusks. The waters of the Arctic Ocean are bone-chillingly cold. The temperature hovers just above zero. Should a person fall into the water, they would have less than 5 minutes before their body goes numb and life begins to fade. Suddenly, through the storm, a shout rings out. A spear cuts through the air and plunges into the giant's thick skin. The frozen sea explodes in chaos. The walrus thrashes in fury, weighing nearly 2,000 pounds. Its skin is thick as armor, and its tusks are more than 3 feet long. Just one strike. That is enough to crush the boat. But the old hunter stands firm, gripping his spear, waiting for the beast to surface again for air. Here is where courage is tested alongside survival, where every heartbeat resonates across the endless white. There it is. A shout tears through the icy wind. The spear cuts through the air like lightning and plunges deep into the giant flesh. The frozen sea explodes in chaos. The walrus lets out a roar so powerful the air trembles. It thrashes in fury, raising waves high enough to swallow the tiny boat. The ropes are pulled to their limit, remaining mere moments away from snapping. The hunters tense up. Their boots sliding on the cracking ice. Every movement of the beast is deadly. One mistake, one moment of hesitation, and death comes as quickly as the Arctic wind. Heat. In this icy hell, every minute counts. If the soul freezes through, the treasure will turn to ice, become useless, and disappear. The hunters act quickly, and the work begins immediately. Under the dim gray sky, the gleam of sharp steel cuts the gaze. The sound of metal-piercing skin as thick as armor fills the air. Every strike exposes layers of snow-white fat beneath the tough brown skin. The rhythm of survival, steel, bone, and breath. The sound is primal, flesh tearing, bone cracking under heavy blows. Chunks of crimson meat, each weighing tens of pounds, are cut off and piled on the cold ice. Steam rises from the fresh prey, mixing with the blood, salt, and the sea. The wind carries away all that is harsh yet sacred. Men step by step drag the heavy meat toward the ice cellars, while women collect the rich fat, cutting it into blocks for storage or melting it into oil, the fire of the Arctic. Outside, children stand with wide eyes, their breath visible in the cold air. They observe every movement. This is not just work, it is a lesson. Their first understanding of what survival means here is to take only what the sea gives and treat it with respect. On the ice, a white tusk, over 3 feet long, stands upright like a monument, a symbol of victory and life reclaimed from death. No one rejoices. Instead, silence falls, a solemn tribute to the spirit of the animal and to the sea that gifted it. Nothing goes to waste. Every part of the walrus is used. Meat for food, fat for heat, skin for tools, bone for carving. Even after death, it continues to give life. In their language, the walrus is not prey, it is a gift of the ocean. Children grow up from childhood tasting its meat. Oil lamps burn through the long Arctic night. Thanks to its fat, even ancient rituals are tied to its power. For the Inuit, hunting is not just work. It is a sacred ritual, a living bond between generations. But today, this tradition is facing its greatest test. Arctic ice is melting twice as fast as scientists predicted. Resting places are disappearing. Herds are becoming smaller. Even as numbers dwindle, the demand for its tusk is fueled by the greed of collectors and the shadows of the black market. The hunters of the north find themselves trapped between two extremes, between survival and extinction. The Inuit say they hunt only for survival, but conservation organizations warn that if this continues, the walrus may disappear from the face of the earth forever. Two sides, one truth, buried beneath the ice. Between these opposing worlds remains one troubling question. Where does the boundary lie between a human right to survival? Walrus tusks stand upright like frozen monuments and trophies, and simultaneously as symbols of the fragile exchange between life and death. Between man and nature, the question hangs in the cold air, whether we are witnessing a living tradition of survival carried through the ages or the final tolling of a civilization standing at the edge of the world. But the walrus is not the only giant that feeds people in the frozen north. If the walrus is a gift of the ocean for one village, then the whale is a treasure capable of feeding an entire nation. $100,000. That is the value of an adult whale from the deep. A creature that is simultaneously a source of life and a symbol of controversy. For coastal Arctic communities, it means food, warmth, and survival. For the rest of the world, it means outrage, an unforgivable act against nature. For the Inuit, whales are the spirits of the sea. Their meat helps them survive the endless winter. Their fat becomes oil that burns bright and warms their homes. Their massive bones form the frames of their houses, and their skin and sinews are turned into hunting tools. But here on this land, with no shops, no fields, and where cold can kill a person in less than 5 minutes, those who judge from afar forget one simple truth. Moral arguments do not fill empty stomachs, and ideals do not warm children. Here, every throw of the harpoon is not a question of greed. It is a question of survival. The Arctic Ocean rolls under a pale sky. In small, fragile wooden boats, Inuit hunters follow the shadow of a humpback whale, a living mountain moving through the icy fog, weighing over 40 tons and over 50 feet long. Each flick of its tail could smash a boat like a fin, and yet the old hunter grips his harpoon, never taking his eyes off it, waiting for that one single moment when the giant surfaces to breathe. A shout cuts through the air. The spear whistles in the wind, piercing the whale's shiny skin. The sea explodes in chaos once again. The battle is as ancient as the Arctic itself. The sea explodes again as the giant whale thrashes in fury. Its massive tail carves walls of water in the icy air. Waves rise like moving cliffs, crashing down on the trembling boat. The ropes pull to their limit. They shriek with tension as the boat sways from side to side. The wooden planks creak just a little more, and they might shatter. One wrong move, one slip of the hand, and the entire crew and their hunting dream will go to the bottom of the ocean. After many long, grueling hours of struggle, the mighty whale finally weakens. Its strength fades, and the massive body goes still. Slowly, red blood spreads across the icy surface, crimson reflections of victory, and not a single second is wasted. The whale, weighing tens of tons, is pulled toward the ice edge. Steel knives flash under the pale Arctic light, cutting through the thick skin, exposing vast layers of glistening white fat. Every cut resonates in the frozen air like a strike against time, a sign of human survival written in blood. Hundreds of pounds of meat are lifted and placed on the ice. The fat is rendered. It is carefully collected. Soon it will become oil, the fire that will preserve the life of the village. The endless nights of darkness are coming soon. The entire community gathers. Men divide the meat with quiet precision. Women collect and process the fat. Children stand at the edge of the crowd, watching in silence, once again grasping the ritual that their ancestors performed for thousands of years. Every part of the whale is used. Nothing goes to waste. From flesh to fat, from bone to tendon, every part serves its purpose in the cycle of Arctic life. But once again, the same question hangs over the cold horizon. Who has the greater right, the people who struggle for survival, or the whales who struggle for life? The hunters shout heat, heat, a cry that echoes through generations, from walruses to whales, two Arctic giants, forever linked to the fate of humanity in the frozen wilderness. One walrus is capable of feeding an entire village. One whale is capable of sustaining the life of an entire community throughout the long, merciless winter. It is these very scenes, blood on the ice, flesh in the wind, that have ignited a storm of global debate. For the Inuit, this is heritage. It is a cultural rite, a sacred rhythm of survival. But to the rest of the world, it is perceived as cruelty, as the face of extinction. And so the question remains hanging in the Arctic air. Are we witnessing an ancient tradition that has stood against all odds, or are we hearing the final tolling signaling the disappearance of the giants at the edge of the world? Only the wind, the sea, and the ice know the answer, and they keep silent. Over the last 50 years, the Arctic has lost more than 75% of its summer sea ice. For walruses, this means that the ice fields that once served as resting grounds have disappeared. Now they are forced to swim further and dive deeper in search of food. Meanwhile, mothers are doing their best to protect their calves on the diminishing slabs of melting ice in the Chukchi Sea off the coast of Alaska. Satellite data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration show how walrus herds gather along the coast by the tens of thousands, a desperate migration never observed before the 2000s. When they are startled, hundreds rush into the water at once, crushing the young under their mass, a tragic consequence of a changing world. Whales have not escaped this fate either. Commercial whaling has been banned since 1986, but illegal hunting and accidental entrapment in industrial nets still claim hundreds of lives every year. The North Atlantic right whale, which once numbered 20,000, today has fewer than 300 individuals surviving in the wild. For the Inuit, this is not just a statistic, it is a warning. It is a warning that a way of life passed down for millennia now stands on a melting foundation, and their ancestors followed the ice, while today, the ice itself is disappearing. Between survival and sustainability lies a balance. And the Arctic, more than any other place on Earth, reminds us that every choice we make echoes beyond the horizon, because here, what melts at the poles ultimately affects every shore. We, as outside observers, also stand before a choice. Can human development find a balance with nature before the last symbols of the ocean disappear? Thank you for joining us on this journey to the origins of Arctic mysteries. What are your thoughts on this? Please leave a comment below, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel to discover more stories about the natural world with us.